morning. My name is Jennifer DeMudd, and I am the Executive Director of the Manufacturing Growth Alliance. We are a membership-based organization that provides services to support small manufacturers across the state. We help them build smart, lead strong, and establish a pathway for future growth. Our services drive solutions that make manufacturing in Michigan the most competitive and prosperous in the nation. COVID-19 has accelerated digital transformation for manufacturers. MGA, as well as many of our partners, are here to support small manufacturers in their journey of understanding and adopting Industry 4.0 technologies. Today, we'll have a conversation about Industry 4.0 technologies that address the workforce shortage that we're experiencing. Before I introduce our moderator for today, just a few housekeeping items. You can place all of your questions in the Q&A box. We'll be monitoring those and we'll make sure to get those questions answered at the close of our conversation today. We are also recording this webinar so we can make it available to more manufacturers across the state. So let's introduce our moderator. Today we have Dan Radomski, who is the Executive Director of Centropolis Accelerator at Lawrence Technological University. Dan has extensive experience in digital technologies as well as working with small manufacturers. MGA is thrilled to have Dan and our other guests with us today. Dan?
Thanks, Jen, and thanks to MGA for hosting us today and for bringing to light, this real problem that we're experiencing in manufacturing with workforce shortages. And it's being, a lot of the manufacturers that we've been working with across the state have had real issues of not only retaining employees, but, just basic turnover from day to day, week to week. And it's really offered an opportunity to really look how technology can potentially solve that, specifically Industry 4.0 technology. So glad to be here today, along with three really impressive companies that we're working with that have unique technologies that support operational efficiencies and ease of work for your workforce. So this is our agenda today. I'm going to discuss a little bit about our Industry 4.0 accelerator, and then offer an opportunity to get a real close look to some unique technologies that support workers in assembly and inspection and automation of work cells. So fortunate to have Invisible AI, Rapid Robotics, and Detect It with us today. They'll be presenting their technologies, their businesses, and more importantly, the value proposition and how they support, workforce shortages and turnover. As they present and we turn over the dials to them, as Jen mentioned, use the chat function to ask questions. We'll be fielding questions as each of them complete their presentation. And again, this recording will be made available as well as the presentations from all after the event. So a little bit about our partner, Automation Alley. This Industry 4.0 accelerator was really the brainchild of three organizations coming together: Automation Alley, Centropolis Accelerator, and Lean Rocket Lab out of Jackson, Michigan. And the real intent was to help improve the amount of manufacturers using Industry 4.0 technology to bring about manufacturing operational efficiency. Automation Alley's had a long history as kind of the knowledge leader in Industry 4.0, providing many events and case studies and white papers and roundtables, bringing manufacturers together with technology to help improve their operational efficiencies. They now have in partnership with the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center, a Industry 4.0 assessment program that offers free assessments for small to medium-sized manufacturers, where you really have their staff come in and evaluate how prepared your manufacturing operation and model is for adopting I4O technologies. They also recently had a program called Project Diamond that helped distribute and provide additive manufacturing and 3D printers to many small to medium-sized manufacturers throughout Oakland and Macomb County. They're working very closely with manufacturing communities and technology communities across the globe, and are now serving as an AmHub, regional, expert and residents for advanced manufacturing hub here in North America. They also, Automation Alley also has many events, tech takeovers and opportunities to learn about new Industry 4.0 technologies. But they have what's quite possibly the best Industry 4.0 conference in the world. It's held every year. It was originally going to be this fall, as it normally is, and was moved to May, due to what we've been experiencing with COVID. So new event date is May 10th, and there's a link here to actually register. So let's talk about the Industry 4.0 Accelerator. What is it, and how could it potentially be of value to you as a small to medium-sized manufacturer here in Michigan? Really what we've done working with Automation Alley and Lean Rocket Lab and Centropolis as a partnership is we've provided kind of an opportunity to bring in some of the best in class I4O technology companies, including 3 that you're going to hear from today, that bring solutions to problem statements that are very common with small to medium-sized manufacturers, and really using these types of technologies, advanced automation, machine vision, artificial intelligence, and additive manufacturing, and data collection and analysis to help improve throughput, quality, reduce downtime, and reduce capital and operating expenditures to ensure that Michigan manufacturers are more efficient and better margins. You have better margins as a manufacturer. Obviously, you can reinvest and even be more competitive in your quotes, and more importantly, be more competitive in what is increasingly a globally competitive environment for manufacturers. So the way we did this is we kind of opened this Industry 4.0 Accelerator to crowdsource globally the best technologies. And we're seeing companies from all over the world be very interested to partner with us, primarily because we have such an incredible manufacturing base, right? So we announced this over 18 months ago, and the intent was really to attract these best-in-class I4O tech companies and not only connect them to Michigan manufacturers so we can help them be more efficient, but also connect them to the existing supply chain so that those companies that are in kind of system integration and automation distributors can also benefit by bringing these solutions to their existing customers. So this is a list of now what is, many Michigan manufacturing and value chain companies that are corporate partners of our Industry 4.0 Accelerator. So we work very closely with their Industry 4.0 tech scouts, their manufacturing operational efficiency teams, and introduce I4O technologies to them to consider improving their operations. So anyone that's dialing in today or takes part in this webinar, viewing the recording afterwards, if you're interested to be a part of this and learn about all these great I4O technology companies, not just the 3 that you're going to hear from today, but the many more that we've been working with, I encourage you to reach out to us and see how you can get involved. The Industry 4.0 Accelerator also has a seed fund where we can actually invest in some of these companies, and we've been very successful now attracting 8 Industry 4.0 technology companies to Michigan. We've had over 400 applications from 34 different countries. As mentioned, 24 manufacturing partners from Michigan that are corporate partners in the program. We've helped initiate 18 pilots, Industry 4.0 kind of proof of concepts, demos with Michigan manufacturers, and have made a number of seed investments in I4O companies. We've also launched a new $5,000 pilot demo program. Manufacturing Growth Alliance has a similar program to help initiate I4O technologies and get proof of concepts and demos into Michigan manufacturers. Those grants that are available through the Industry 4.0 program are limited to $5,000 and have to take part in a Michigan manufacturing facility. Our partner Lean Rocket Lab also has a very similar I4O demo grant program that's available to Jackson area manufacturing companies. So you can see there's a link on how to apply and some of the details on, what is a part of the application process. So if you're interested in, hearing from, Detect-It, Rapid Robotics, and Invisible AI today and considering a demonstration, there's an application that you do on, complete online that would, just provide a short description of the project you're trying to demonstrate and the technology company you're working with and the kind of success measures that you're trying to achieve with that. And then obviously the expected total cost, timeline of when you can get started versus when you think you can complete the demo, and then any cost share and requirement for documentation on if the project was successful or not. So with that said, I'm going to pause here and again, remind anybody that's interested to reach out to Jennifer and me to get additional details on Industry 4.0 Accelerator or Automation Alley programs. But I would like to introduce our speakers to share a little bit about what they offer in the way of solutions, particularly as it impacts our workforce. So first up is Pratik, co-founder and COO of Invisible AI. If you don't mind grabbing the dials, I'll stop sharing my screen and let you talk about Invisible AI and what it offers.
Appreciate it, Dan. And thank you, Dan and Jennifer and John, for hosting the event and coordinating all this. Definitely an exciting time with the focus on supply chain and kind of labor shortage in general. And can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So a brief intro about myself. I actually previously worked in the world of self-driving cars for about 2.5 years at a company called Luminar, which was building LiDAR sensors for those vehicles, the spinning sensors on some cars, if you've seen out there. We built a compact version of that and got to build some very exciting state-of-the-art technology platform and its overall goal. But the reality was self-driving still, for the full end-to-end, no human being involved, is still on a long path to get there. And we wanted to kind of apply some of the more mature aspects of self-driving, like computer vision, into more practical industries that were facing much bigger problems today. And before the world of self-driving, previously at University of Michigan. So if anyone listening in or joining today, go blue. Today, though, we'll really be talking about what Dan was referring to on the labor side of things. And I didn't want to take too much time talking about the problem because I'm sure the attendees here are even strongly resonating with that. And there's multiple facets to that, right? It's not just that there's not enough labor that exists in the market today. It's that how do you attract the more younger millennial age group into this actual job type? How do you automate portions of it that make sense, while still being practical that human beings are the most critical element for a majority of operations, especially assembly operations. And that fully end-to-end complex assembly is not going away with automated robots overnight. Just like self-driving, it's on a path to get there, but we have to be practical about what timeline that exists in and how to actually address it. And that said, there are many elements that will be automated, but it's key to remember that human beings and people and operators on the line are still a big component to this. So what we are focused on specifically is working on that labor side of things in multiple categories. Well, 3 key things. The platform that we are building is effectively a way to properly manage productivity, quality, safety, and all centered around the human being itself. So what we actually build is this AI-enabled cameras that have an AI chipset built in, a terabyte of storage built in, and they are pre-trained. Those cameras are pre-trained to monitor the skeleton version of the human body. Your knees, your elbows, your shoulders. What you see on the yellow dots on the image over there is exactly what our cameras can do the second you give them power. No cloud necessary, no extra information necessary. We're just tracking the body motion itself. And that pre-trained capability, we combine that with these really powerful AI applications that we built from a software side. And the key thing about our entire platform is that it's deployable in minutes, not hours, not days, not months, You get a camera, you plug it in, and a web browser is all you need to configure incredibly state-of-the-art vision applications that can help you with quality, productivity, and safety in your assembly operations. So one key thing I'll mention in addition to the overall product is the camera itself. This is the camera on the left side itself. We have a CM making them at volume in the next, early 2022. And the key things about it, as I was mentioning, is that there's an NVIDIA AI chipset built in and a terabyte of storage, which is 30 plus days. And you can optimize that further by turning off video over the weekend. We allow for those smart, simple things. And the really big thing here is that they are incredibly scalable. We deployed 50 cameras in a single facility in a matter of 5 days. And our target for large OEMs is to deploy hundreds of cameras without having a single overhead on the actual bandwidth side of things itself. And again, what that really means is that it's incredibly simple to deploy, it's incredibly simple to maintain. And we are currently working with, on the public side of things, with Toyota, with Fuji, and a few of the manufacturers to bring this kind of technology to market. So Vision App Store. So once you get these cameras, you install 50 of them, whatever the size of your facility is. The next thing you do is everything is accessible from a web platform. And each of these cameras supports a Vision app set of applications. At the core is what we call Smart Search. When you have hundreds of cameras, we have customers doing root cause analysis and just visibility into things that previously was very hard to do with NVRs and DVRs that they had to manually plug into. So when we plug in our cameras, we integrate with your MES or PLC system and integrate with a unique product ID that you may have in your facility. So that means when a problem arises where you want visibility into a certain product, you can type in that product number and it will show you that video from every camera that saw it in seconds, making whoever is using the platform, their job incredibly easy. On top of that, we have a next level application called Assembly Monitor. Because we are integrated with your PLC and we understand every cycle coming through, we can actually look at that cycle and do all the kinds of time and motion studies that people are currently doing with a clipboard and a stopwatch itself. And on top of that, the quality side of things, there are many types of errors that happen on a daily basis that are related to the operator, and they're really, really hard to error proof. You know, the errors are okay to expect on a general basis because of fatigue, but integrating light curtains, integrating complex solutions that eventually can be bypassed by the team member itself is incredibly, incredibly hard and hard to scale. And what we have developed is a very simple platform application, really, that you can say, hey, please make sure the individual is doing this specific step by looking at their wrist. Please make sure they're grabbing the right part by looking at their wrist and onwards. So I'll show you a quick screenshot set of things here before we do a demo on anything, just to save time. The root cause application, as I was showing, you can type in any body number or whatever your appropriate product ID may be in your facility and type that in and just see one-click search throughout your whole system. And since we're integrated into your MES PLC system, we can be filtering and showing you information cycles with line stops, cycles with end-on pulse, cycle with any kind of data point that you may have in your system, making your life in root cause much, much easier. On top of that, I was mentioning the Assembly Monitor side of things is helping you understand at scale what is happening in every single cycle. You know, there will be edge case cycles where a manager is helping someone's being trained, but for a mass majority of cycles, you have the metrics at scale to understand what is the value add time versus the non-value add time. When you have hundreds of thousands of employees, these kind of metrics really matter to balance your whole operations. And as the labor problem becomes even wider, this is a big focus for a lot of the productivity Kaizen teams. And the last bit is the Poka-yoke side of things, because you can again configure things like skip steps and bin pick type of errors. You can look at their wrist and make sure, hey, did you grab the right part from the right location? Did you do the QA check you were meant to do, simply by having a camera there? And the response that the operator gets, because it's all real time happening inside the camera without the cloud, the latency is close to zero, close to 1 second, really. Wait for the end of the cycle, and then on the tablet in front of them, flash and say good or no good for that particular cycle. And that's that. I think we may be getting close to the end here, but actually this might be my last slide anyway. This is a local setup I have of a platform that we have running. And in here I have a single camera. And when you get a camera, I think this one has an application already on it. When you particularly get a camera, you can install a single application. The one behind you is a special one you can learn about on our website, but you can install something like Assembly Monitor and start configuring it. And the idea is that your managers, your team members on the line can be trained enough with no coding or engineering expertise to say, hey, this is a moving process. We have PLC integrated. There is a PLC encoder on the line. This is the front suspension line. And basically label a couple simple things. I'm not connected to the camera here. Maybe I can show you a look. I will avoid more local demos, but the core idea being you're basically drawing a couple of shapes and saying, this is the workpiece, this is the pick area, this is the walk area, and that's all you need to actually get the output out on the other side. I think I'm not connected enough, so I'm going to pause on the demo side of things and move on to any questions anybody might have. See 2 chat messages here.
Thanks, Pratik. Pratik, I mean, very impressed by the use of this kind of AI-based vision system with the algorithms you developed that provides a really new, unique kind of poka-yoke error-proofing capability. Can you talk about a couple of the different applications that you've been able to do this with that you may not be able to, say your customers, but what type of assembly operations or?
Absolutely. So our big focus has been actually on general assembly and final assembly in general. Wherever you have a human element doing processes for cycle times around 30 to 60 seconds, has been the core majority of our processes. Cycle times where there's less than 10 seconds, it's just too fast paced. We can still crack it, but the value the end customer is getting is not as high when you have complex assembly processes where the human being maybe more prone to messing up on small things. And so that's been a big focus. Within automotive specifically, we have been deployed on pretty much every major assembly line from trim to chassis to suspension and even on powertrain lines. So a big diverse element. The key requirement for us, the way we actually try to recommend the camera position and the target stations is, can you put a camera in a location where you can see the team member actually do all the work in the particular process? What that implies in essence is if there is a process being done inside the vehicle or completely occluded and the camera cannot see it, not a good target for poka-yoke, not a good target for Kaizen, not a good target for safety because you can't really see the person itself. And what that also implies is everything else is capturable by us, depending on your particular use case, because as long as we can see them, we can handle it.
Yeah, and I can speak from experience, Pratik. I mean, there is so much manual assembly operations that are quite complex. Even with standardized work procedures, you can forget. I worked for a small manufacturer, and I'll never forget it. It was a 14-step assembly instruction, right next to me, and it had to be done in a very specific order. And then we had another person that checked my work, and I made mistakes at times. So it happens all the time, and it impacts quality or even downstream warranty issues. The other thing that's unique is if you can register a worker's involvement in going into a bin, like a part bin, I imagine this can create kind of a redundancy support for Kanban issues for ordering parts and knowing when you're getting low on parts. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a consequences of it all. I will say the customer chain will probably already have something in place for that. So we're trying to argue from a different ROI perspective, but an easy consequence is you can get rid of your old systems. You can get rid of your old error-proofing mechanisms once you have something robust in place from a bin picking perspective, for instance. I got one question here from Scott Phillips. Is there value beyond final assembly, something like machine tending or welding? We have not deployed in those particular use cases because I think there were multiple scenarios where we did talk to a couple, but the cycle time was too low. And we're actually looking at their risks. So machine tending, somebody was trying to do a CNC machine, making sure they're configuring it in the right place, and it requires looking at their fingers. And that is on our roadmap for something mid next year. And beyond that, very curious to find out if you find that useful. What you saw in one of my slides earlier, is this bit right here. And maybe I can show you one last thing, me building a radiator actually in the system tracking individual step. This is kind of our demo days from late last year, but the key thing to see here is those green dots. That thing is happening real time. So if there's a quality or productivity use case in machine tending or welding that can be tackled by you looking at their wrists and making sure they're going to the right region in the right order, that's easily targetable because we can track the human being itself. But maybe not everything, depending again on the use case.
Yeah, I could see that for manual welding, seam welding done manually, that type of thing. Yeah. Great, Prateek. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your story about Invisible AI and the solutions it's bringing to manual assembly operations and more. So appreciate it very much. And as we get questions or anyone that wants to connect with Prateek and Invisible AI, don't hesitate to reach out to us in the chat function, and we'll make sure you get connected after the event. So next up, want to feature Rapid Robotics, really impressive company, venture-backed, is growing and expanded in Michigan, and offers a real unique solutions for automating simple tasks. So turn the dials over to Aaron Hallinan, the general manager, Rapid Robotics. So Aaron, go ahead and grab the screen, pull up your presentation.
Thank you, Dan and Jennifer. We really appreciate this opportunity to join you guys all today. And I'd like to take you through, if you can see my screen, Dan.
Yes, I can.
Great. So thank you and good morning to everybody. And we're excited to tell you all about Rapid Robotics today here in Michigan and in the Midwest. Our company did start in California, but I am the general manager of the Midwest region, as Dan said, and we are currently deploying in Michigan, Ohio, and Minnesota, and then we'll take it from there with the other states. So very excited to be part of the Michigan dialogue today. Where we really started is just addressing the massive labor shortage that Dan spoke about earlier. And I think you guys all read this in the paper and in social media every day, where every industry really is just short on manufacturing labor. And the labor shortage, the last time I looked, was charted to reach 2.2 million people by 2025, and then growing from there. And what we looked at is really the labor costs, the fully burdened cost of an operator, and the cost increase from their wage increases every year, and just the total amount of spend and training that labor force. We also looked at, as you see on the right side, the hiring risks, the time it takes to hire a new operator, and the turnover, and then just the human quality aspects of it. And that kind of really gave us the backdrop to go after this. And the other thing we looked at, as you see on the screen, is 80% of the manufacturing processes still rely on human operators. And this really has not changed, right? Over many, many years. Today, there's about 10 million operators in the US, whether it's a machine tending person or some variety of a machine operator. And we are spending $650 billion a year in this space just on salaries, right? And these tasks are highly repetitive, monotonous, and even not very enjoyable, okay? And so that's where we really focused as Rapid Robotics, is to try to go after the simple tasks, right? And that's where we really focus is, machine tending, pad printing, pick and place, heat stake, these kinds of tasks that still take a full-time operator, right? And still take a full-time operator's wage and require training and raises and all the quality issues that go along with any human being doing a task. And so that's where we focused, is to try to go after this pretty expensive issue for all of our manufacturers. The robots, this picture here is a picture of a hot stamping operation where you see the operator taking the cylinder, placing it in the machine, right? Applying the buttons to activate the machine, and then moving the cylinder over to her other side to eventually be put into totes, right? And we were able to take these cylinders, put them on a little conveyor, not very much cost, right? Convey them in, use the camera on the robot to get sub-millimeter accuracy on where that part is so that we can properly pick it, and then place it in the heat stamper to accomplish the task we're trying to do, and then put it on another conveyor kind of going outbound from there. And this is just one of many examples. In this simple example, we were able to take 3 shifts, 2 operators, and replace them with 2 robots. So you can see, when you think about the cost of an operator, and in Michigan with automotive and medical being so prevalent, many of our factories, and probably yours, is more than 1 shift, right? And so when you take more than 1 shift worth of labor costs and compare it to the cost that I'll show you in a minute that we charge, you see our value proposition. Another way to look at this is that when you look at the profitability of any company in our study here, it shows that when labor costs decrease by only 15% of the total production costs, the margins more than double, right? And that's the magic, is that, the cost of labor is such a significant portion of the cost of the product. And this is where you really start to think about the advantage of automation when it can be affordable in the context of reshoring, right? And that's what we're really trying to go after as well, is give our companies the opportunity to avoid some of those rapidly escalating shipping costs and reshore the work for a very competitive cost. So then you ask yourself the questions that robots could solve the labor shortage. They've been around for as long as any of us on the call can remember. Why aren't they doing it, right? And the answer that we believe is that the traditional automation approach, if you look at the cost rack up, $25 to $50K for a robot arm, over $25K for your components to facilitate it, $10K or so for operator training, and then $100, $750, somewhere in that range to do the systems integration work, right? And so you could be easily into $1 million very, very quickly operating just a basic task. And so what we try to offer is a total package. What you see on the screen here, the robotic arm, the computer, the fixture, everything is included in what we offer you. And all of that, the real magic is the price, right? And so what we charge is, we do a $20,000 setup fee for a new job, and then we charge $2,100 a month to subscribe for the service. So for your first year of production, it's $3,750 a month. And then forever after that, it's only $2,100 a month. And that's the real magic, is to, when you look at this slide here and you're a new manufacturer, or you're a manufacturer looking for a labor solution, you're typically really trying to wrestle with the risk, because typically automation involves a ton of risk because the investment is so high. And so what we're trying to do is de-risk that by giving you a very affordable subscription fee, and allows our customers to get into this space and automate without that significant investment risk that they traditionally do. So that's what we wanted to show today. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Aaron. I do have one question that comes from Scott Phillips, who's on the line. Regarding cycle times or takt times, do you often need to help the manufacturer with line balancing when replacing operators with robots?
We haven't yet, but I could conceive of that instance, right? I worked at Ford Motor Company for 30 years, so I'm very familiar with that. We definitely would work with the customer to line balance, but typically our customers have kind of settled on a high volume, low mix task that they want us to look at as a conventional task to automate. Anytime you want to automate, high volume, low mix is usually where you're going to make the most profit, right? Because this is all about profit, right? This is all about how can I reduce my labor cost and get the reliability that I'm looking for and the quality that I'm looking for.
You know, Aaron, this is an argument that I've used quite a bit, and I think he's presented it really well, right? That, you know, and I'm working with, you know, growing up and working in small manufacturing operations myself, you know, I know it's kind of a sensitive thing. Do I really want to take on automation? And it's complex and I don't understand it. But the value proposition is clear on what you can do to improve your margins. And again, I think the most important thing is the margins allow you to be more competitive, right? If you have better margins, you can even quote lower, still have good margins and win business, which sometimes gets overlooked.
Absolutely. I was just speaking to another gentleman on the west side of Michigan who was looking at, once we kind of went through our pricing, and he's looking at jobs in Mexico and China, and absolutely looking at reshoring them, right? Because this allows you to do that and get all those benefits.
There's a couple jobs that I was involved in my dad's machine shop where I literally was grinding on a belt sander thousands of rods, and I think we you know, if we really counted up the hours I spent on it, we probably lost money on it. So I'm sorry, Jen, you were going to make a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to make a brief comment. You know, for the manufacturers that are listening, I guarantee you your competitors are leveraging these technologies. So we're not at a point where this is a nice to have. This is a must have if you're going to stay competitive. It's a must have. Your competitors.
Water bottle down, dude.
Yeah, I agree, Jen, 100%. And we got to remember our competition is no longer the other, you know, machine shop on the corner. It's companies in China that are really competitive, and they're adopting these technologies as well. So it's absolutely a requirement. The last comment I'll make too is, you know, the value proposition in this, Aaron, too, is the cost of training, right? So it's a lot of the positions that you're replacing, right, are high turnover, right? Which means there are training costs and bringing on employees and explaining how to do these tasks, correct?
It absolutely is. It's a great point that the training often gets overlooked. And interestingly, when I first talked to a customer, what I notice a lot is a significant underestimate on the fully burdened costs of their own employees, right? You know, because most of us we're engineers or manufacturers by trade, and that's just not really what we think about all the time. But when you really rack and stack the fully burdened costs, it's higher than you might first imagine.
Well, Aaron, thanks for sharing a little bit about Rapid Robotics. We're excited that you're here and supporting small to medium-sized manufacturers in Michigan. And anyone that's interested to connect, please reach out to us and we will connect you to Aaron. Can you give me the screen back here? And
yeah, and just just go on our website, rapidrobotics.com, and you can sign up there for a quick demo or any kind of contact.
All right.
What do I got to do to give it back to you, Dan?
Should be able to just stop screen share and I'll be able to grab it.
There'll be a little red button on your navigation. It'll just say stop.
Yeah. It's somewhere on there. And while we're making that transfer, I will introduce our next speaker. So Kevin Kerwin with Detect-It, a great company located right here in Oak Park, Michigan. Has probably one of the coolest Industry 4.0 demo centers I've ever been in. And is really developing really unique AI-based vision systems to not only support, part defect, good part, bad part, but also standardized work instructions and that type of thing, all of which are valuable, when you have worker shortages and turnover and that type of thing. So with that, Kevin, I will allow you and Rick here to claim the screen and present Detect-It.
Am I up? 2, 1.
Should be on, Kevin.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Apa kabar Selama pagi. Good morning in Bahasa Indonesian, if you didn't know. My name is Kevin Kerwin. I'm the founder and leader of Detect-It. And I'd like to say thank you to Dan and Jen for providing us a platform and the others to get out to the manufacturers and those to come in to learn about how AI and systems like we are showing you can help you with your worker shortage. My background is 40 years almost in Industry 3.0, doing everything you can think of in automation, from integration to building tooling and
Hey, Kevin, sorry to interrupt, but I'm not sure. Is this the screen you want to be showing, or I want to make sure you're sharing your screen if you're pulling up the deck.
Let me make sure I got the right screen.
Right now I see a screen broadcast, so that might be Jen's screen.
Rick, are you going to share your screen? Rick's got his phone. We were doing this on the stage here.
Yeah, that's fine. Now I can see you. Okay, great.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Hi, everyone. Hey, you can put a face to the voice. But I'm here today to tell you, after 40 plus years in Industry 3.0, building all the automation and robotic systems, manual workstations, I embarked on truly a different path to develop a human-like sight. And we call this company and our product Detect-It. Detect-It will give you an assistant to inspect things where you don't have a person to do it. And Detect-It can also give you an AI-based assistant to help the few operators you do have perform their job correctly, build parts the first time, the right time, every time. Detect-It is a coder-free neural net AI development tool that just about anybody can use to develop visual-based AI. I have a saying, if you can see it and you can teach somebody else to see it, then we can detect it, or you can use our software to detect it. I'm going to take you around the demo room and show you 4 different applications. 2 where you require people to do the job, but you may not have them, and you don't need to have people do these jobs anymore. And 2 more where you will have people, but you need to make sure they assemble the part correctly the first time, right time, every time. And how we step the operators through with manual work instructions, electronic automated work instructions, and error-proof the steps as they go. So first, Kit, why don't you come over to, we're gonna talk about label inspection. It's a surface quality issue. It's also one of those things that's a one-sided coin. In other words, we know what good is, but there can be a million bads. In the old machine vision world that I used to live in, we need to program bad cases, but we can't because there's a million versions of bad. We only have good. So these are one-sided coin applications. that never worked well in vision before. And you always had to have humans inspecting these type of applications. Go to the last one just real quick. You can see the nets learn what good is and then learn to identify all the things that aren't good. It's not hard to teach a net what good is and have it learn that those things aren't good. This was typically the realm of only human inspectors before, but now you can have an AI detected assistant doing that automated inspection for you. Another application that works that is usually only accomplished by humans is injection mold short shot detection. When you shoot an injection mold full of hot plastic, if you don't have the shot with the right amount of plastic in it, every part of the part will fill out nicely, except at the injection point. It will be short. So in short shot detection, much like label or surface inspection, we know what good is, but there's a million bads. Again, in the old world, trying to program anybody's vision to do this was painful. And oftentimes systems would false positive. When parts are good, they're calling them bad. Operators get annoyed. Eventually the systems get put in bypass and they put people to inspect the parts while they're unloading or such. While we move on, I'd like to show you, so these are two applications that currently you may have to have people doing it, but you can now use Detect-It Smart Sight Intelligent AI Assistant to do it for you. So you can have eyes where you didn't have eyes before. Now in the manual assembly process, we typically in the past would have work instructions, and go hold a second here. We typically in the past would have work instructions written or on a screen, and we would tell the operator the sequence they're supposed to do. And then downstream, we would error proof that they wired the terminal correctly. And that's fine, but you now made a mistake if you didn't wire the terminal correctly. And now we want to try to repair in line so we don't ding our FTT by kicking it out as a repair job. But my philosophy is if you're going to take the error proofing and put it at the station after, why not just put it at the station where you're doing it and have the station tell the operator what to do and error proof that the operator put the right parts on the subcomponents. So this is an example of wire terminal wiring. It is telling KITT what wire to stick in what terminal and making sure they stick the right wire and color in that terminal. It's walking through for 57% complete. It's walking through the process. So by watching the part, I can determine what subcomponents have been installed, if they're the correct subcomponent. So I have a concept of no faults forward. You can't build a bad part. And with operators, you don't have a lot of training, especially now. You can find them. We get them and we train them as quick as we can. We put them on the stations. And unfortunately, they make mistakes. And then we have to suffer with the mistakes. So let's not allow them to make mistakes. Let's have the station train the operator. Another example is if I take a camera like a borescope and I stick it on the end of a tool. That allows the tool to become smart. It knows what socket you have. It knows what bolts you're supposed to go to. And it can step you through and stop you from tightening the wrong bolt if you're on the wrong bolt. If I go the wrong bolt, nope, won't enable the gun. So now I can walk operators through the process. Just don't rotate that. Through the rest of it. Go ahead and go into ForKit. So I can walk operators through manual assembly sequences with tools or by manual and allow them to, or not allow them, teach them how to assemble the part in the order you want. If you look at the wire terminals, let's say today you're out of blue wire, you don't have it in, but I need to make these parts all the way done without the blue wire because I can't wait for the blue wire to come in. With dynamic work instructions, we can repopulate the instructions to each station to accommodate the issue you might have with inbound supply of material. And you can build this all the way up to the point of finishing. And then when you get to blue wire, you can put the blue wire in to finish. You're not inhibited to complete the rest of the steps because of the lack of one. So by using cameras to watch parts, cameras to watch tools, and even if you have a body cam or you take your cell phone and make it a cam, I can see what wrenches you have in your hand, and I can tell what bolts you're going to with the wrench, or what items you're picking up in your hands to put on the part. And I can error proof that you have the right subcomponent and you went to the right spot in the first time, the right time, every time. So I'd like to say that AI and Detect It will give you eyes where you need them and you don't have them. A lot of people are going to combat lack of workers with the traditional approach of buying high-speed capital equipment or automated equipment. But I'm saying you don't need to buy that automated equipment. You can automate things that were previously only human possible, and you can assist humans to make sure that they build the parts right. So you don't need to automate everything to get around your worker shortage issues. So again, I'd like to say thank you to Dan and Jen and everybody for the chance to show how AI can augment your workforce, especially in situations where you have a low application for people wanting a job. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kevin, and thanks, Detect It team. So I talked about them having just a really impressive Industry 4.0 demo center. That's what they're showing you right now, right in Oak Park, Michigan. Tons of other demos that Kevin obviously didn't have a chance to walk us through. So many different applications, like we talked about, not just, manual assembly, but, inspection of all types of parts, from wheels to fascias to, assembly lines and variations in parts. So can you talk a little bit about how your system can even help support, looking at variation in product, which is pretty difficult sometimes to inspect and support in the manufacturing process?
Sure, no problem. One application that we've been tasked with is verifying color match between, let's say, interior components, your A-pillar cover versus your door, because they come from two different people. So that's an application where we can check to make sure the color of the two match each other. You don't have a discoloration issue. That's easy. It's basically just like you. If you can see the color difference, we can detect it. So another application is areas where operators, let's say seats, and they're skinning the seat and they get wrinkles in the skin and they don't pull the skin tight. Those are other applications that the seating people are asking us to look at. We have applications where we're doing, are all the subcomponents in fascias of cars installed? Are all the right exterior chrome badging, nameplate subcomponents installed on the fascia, because they're all custom for the order that you ordered? So there's a lot of applications, presence, absence. There's a lot of applications, good, bad. Has it got a scratch? Does it not have a scratch? Is the gap big enough? Is the gap small enough? Is this level? Those are good, bad applications. There's a lot of applications where tell me how many parts there are, the location of them. So you're just part IDing and giving how many of each and the location for, let's say, robot picking. I'm not doing robot picking, but you could do similar with this. There's a lot of applications. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry, we have another question that came in as well from the chat. It says, what is the break even on volume mix for Detect It? Assume that this is not a job shop solution. Not sure.
So I'll just give you some basic pricing. The license to run Detect It at the station is a $5,000 software license. Typically, to train a neural net to know the sequence, let's say the wires, takes about 8 hours. So either you pay us an 8-hour fee at our rate to train a net for you, Or I would prefer if you buy the development software and you make your own nets, we'll consult you and train you on how to use the software, but it's very simple. Long and short, you take a video of it and you go into the video and like a video editor, label the data in the video and train your net. So that software is a little more pricey. It's a $50,000 package for enterprise, but you can make as many AI assistants as you want. You just have a $5,000 license fee for each implementation on your floor.
Can you, last question for you, and I think it's something that has really compelled me about your technology and what you guys offer is AI-based vision systems that are out there are, usually standard cameras, and they're unable to really detect good part, bad part, especially on three-dimensional objects where you're like inspecting an axle or something like that. And explain how your system is different and how you're able to do that differently.
So that's a good point, Dan. We have the ability to take multiple cameras and treat them kind of as a fly's eye or as a jury or as the strongest camera wins. So if I have 5 cameras looking around an object, let's say a round object, to check for presence or absence of things on the surface of that, for instance, I can treat them also. All the cameras have to agree that, like a fly's eye, that those objects are there, or 9 out of 10 dentists say that those objects are there, or the one guy has 100% confidence camera that that's all the objects are there, and the rest of them aren't as confident. So we have 3 different ways to use a multi-camera approach to give you an answer.
Great, Rick. And Kevin, I want to thank you guys and your team, Detect It, for being available today and sharing the Detect It technology and your capabilities. And anyone that's interested in connecting with Detect It, just send us your information in chat, and we'll definitely make a connection. So from Oak Park, see you guys later. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, so reminder, for those that are interested, small to medium-sized manufacturers interested in Industry 4.0 Accelerator and learning more how to be involved, please reach out to us. And I also have John Beds that's joined us from Automation Alley. So I was able to present a little bit about Automation Alley and want to give John the floor to also kind of help us wrap up. John?
Thanks, Dan. And thanks for ceding the 30 seconds to me right at the end. It's my fault for being late. We've got very robust cyber security at Automation Alley, and it was difficult getting in. So in addition to the companies that you saw today, there are a few hundred different companies that are developing these technologies, and they've got kind of a common theme in them, that they're becoming more affordable. They're very easy to integrate, and oftentimes they're going to be, you'll be able to integrate them yourself onto your shop floor, and that they help you migrate your good workers to more productive tasks. It's not always about worker reduction. It's not always about the money saving. It's about the quality that you're going to get and the new technology that's going to help you remain competitive and grow. And to close with that, then I want to just mention about the ecosystem here in Michigan. The MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, has funded grants like the ones that Jen and Dan are presenting today, as well as others around the state. They fund Automation Alley and the work that they're doing to help become the knowledge center for Industry 4.0. We've got a lot of information about all kinds of different technologies that are available. And then what we want you to do is to utilize what's called an essential membership. And Jen, I'll share you the link. You can get it out to your constituency. That this is a no-cost membership in Automation Alley that's been subsidized by the MEDC. It'll allow you to get in and learn about these and other technologies that can help you grow your business and remain competitive. And also what we want you to do then is when you start to see technologies that you think can help your business, it might be these 3 today, it might be something else. You can go to our use case database and put in your own question about what you're looking for, and we'll help match you up with a technology provider that can help you achieve what your goals are, because yours are probably unique to what you've seen so far and what you're looking at. And then when it comes time to implementing that, the other partner that we haven't mentioned is the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center. They can come in, help assess where you're at, and help you make the right manufacturing decision to integrate these technologies into what your offerings are. So that's the third level of that, the MEDC, the Automation Alley, the MMTC, and then our regional partners out there. And so after you get into that essential membership, one of the things I want you to put on your calendars now is that Integrate, our conference, is coming up next May, on May 10th. And it's going to be in Novi, Michigan, which is a little bit more central to the state than Detroit was, and easy to get to. There's going to be great information at that for everybody. With that essential membership, your company gets a free ticket to that as well. So I'm not asking you for any money today, asking you for the chance to help solve your problems and help you grow your business here in Michigan. And I think I got us off, Jen. Not too late today. Once again, sorry about being late.
That's right, John. Thanks. Automation Alley is, like I said, the knowledge center and leader in Industry 4.0. So glad to have them. And this new network that John talked about with MEDC supporting regional Industry 4.0 programs, including the ones MGA is running, is really shows the commitment that the state's making to Industry 4.0 and trying to help small to medium-sized manufacturers improve their operations. So I want to thank Aaron and Kevin and Pratik for being here and for presenting their companies, and make sure to introduce you to anybody here that attended today that was interested in connecting with you and looking at your solutions for their operations. And I'll ask Jen to come back up and wrap up. Thanks, Jen, for everything.
Yeah, I will also thank our presenters and thank Dan for hosting, bringing together the technologies for Industry 4.0 to share with manufacturers. So many of the manufacturers that I talk with on a daily, weekly basis, they're looking for short-term solutions because they know those workforce problems are right in front of them. So the technologies that you shared today are certainly some solutions for them to consider. Just wanted to share in regards to the regional program that MGA offers. There is a 3-step process in that regional program. Right now, we're going through the educational component, sharing information to small manufacturers. There's also phase 2, which is the financial and operational analysis that we provide. But then third are the implementation projects. MGA, through our regional program, is able to provide to some manufacturers implementation grants to adopt these technologies. So reach out to me, reach out to Dan, Automation Alley. As Dan pointed out, and as well as John, the state is all in to support small manufacturers in Michigan. You can reach out to any of us. We'll make sure that you are connected to the right resource so that you can move forward with 4.0 technologies. And with that, we are a few minutes over, but thanks again. Really appreciate all of the time that the team has put in for the presentation today.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Mm-hmm.